When Saturday Night Fever hit theaters in 1977, it did more than just crank the disco dial to 11. It launched John Travolta into superstardom, resurrected the Bee Gees, and made white polyester suits a national fashion emergency. But behind the flashing lights and iconic soundtrack lies a treasure trove of stories, strange, hilarious, and totally unexpected. Think you know Saturday Night Fever? Think again. For all the strutting and staying alive, this film hides some truly weird secrets, like the fact that the article it was based on was a total fabrication, or that the world's most famous dance floor was auctioned off for 7 figures, or that a grieving John Travolta had to finish scenes days after the love of his life passed away. Yeah, this isn't just a disco movie. It's a strange time capsule from an even stranger era. And once we pull back the curtain, you'll never watch it the same way again. Stick around till the last fact and the bonus for the proper Saturday Night Fever. Number 10. A movie born from a lie. Let's rewind. The entire movie wouldn't exist if not for a 1976 article published in New York Magazine titled Tribal Rights of the New Saturday Night. It was gritty, stylish, and supposedly non-fiction, detailing Brooklyn's underground disco culture through the eyes of a dancer named Vincent. Hollywood went crazy for it. One small catch? Vincent was completely made up. British journalist Nick Cohn confessed years later that he fabricated much of the story. He'd only recently moved to the US and barely understood the local scene. So he did what many writers have done under deadline. He improvised, basing Vincent on a mod friend from his London youth. And just like that, a global phenomenon was born from a lie. Number 9. The Bee Gees wrote the soundtrack without seeing the film. Here's the kicker. The Bee Gees hadn't even seen the movie when they wrote the songs. They were in France working on an entirely unrelated album when producer Robert Stigwood called. He needed music, fast. So over one weekend, the Gibb brothers wrote multiple songs without a script, without footage, and without context. And those scenes where Travolta grooves down the street? During filming, he wasn't dancing to Stayin' Alive at all. They used Boz Scaggs and Stevie Wonder for timing, only swapping in the Bee Gees later in post-production. Number 8. Travolta was already famous, and fans went wild. Travolta, of course, was no stranger to fame when the film began production. By then, he'd already become a household name thanks to his role as Vinnie Barbarino on Welcome Back, Kotter. But nothing prepared the production team for the tidal wave of fans that followed him to Brooklyn. The streets were swarmed, especially by teenage girls. Co-star Donna Pescow remembered that filming had to be constantly rescheduled to avoid the chaos. They often shot scenes at odd hours just to escape the mobs. Number 7. The dance floor was a $15,000 custom set piece. Now let's talk about the film's most legendary location, the dance floor. The 2001 Odyssey Disco in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, was a real club, but not like you saw it in the film. The now iconic, color-shifting, flashing dance floor? That was a $15,000 set addition, built specifically for the movie. It pulsed in sync with the music thanks to cutting-edge technology at the time. After the club closed in 2005, a former employee named Vito Bruno rescued the floor. In 2017, it was auctioned off for $1.2 million to an anonymous buyer. Somewhere that floor is still lighting up. Number 6. White Castle staff got moons and barked at for real. And speaking of lighting things up, one of the film's funniest behind-the-scenes stories comes from an unexpected place. White Castle. During a scene where Tony and his crew grab burgers, the restaurant workers behind the counter weren't actors. They were actual employees. The director told the cast to improvise and instructed the staff to react naturally, and boy did they. One actor climbed on a table and barked. Another, Paul Pape, who played Double J, reportedly mooned the staff mid-take. Their shock? Totally real. That moment lives forever on screen, captured in all its chaotic, unscripted glory. Enjoying the madness so far? Then go ahead, like this video. Number 5. Travolta was grieving. during filming. The energy behind Travolta's performance came from more than just music and choreography. It came from personal pain. Around that time, he had fallen deeply in love with actress Diana Hyland, his co-star in The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. Though she played his mother in the film, their off-screen relationship blossomed quickly. But tragedy struck just as Saturday Night Fever began filming. Hyland, battling breast cancer, passed away only 6 months after they got together. Travolta briefly left the production to be with her during her final moments, and then, heartbreakingly, he returned to finish shooting the film that would define his career. That electric sadness? You can feel it in every frame. Number 4. The Tango Hustle was made up on the spot. One of the most memorable dance scenes comes roughly an hour into the movie, where Tony and Stephanie practice a complex routine. It feels elegant, improvised, alive. That's because it was. On the day of filming, the choreographer didn't show up. With no pre-planned steps, Travolta and Karen Lynn Gorney created what's now known as the Tango Hustle right on the spot. They blended elements of the tango with disco rhythms, making it one of the film's most surprisingly raw moments. Though the dance never gained popularity outside the film, its spontaneity is part of what makes it so captivating to watch. Number 3. The white suit wasn't supposed to be white. Now let's talk fashion. That famous white suit Travolta wore? It almost wasn't white at all. Director John Badham and Travolta originally envisioned it in black, which is in line with real disco trends. However, costume designer Patricia von Brandenstein had other ideas. She argued that black would disappear under the club's dark lights. White, on the other hand, would pop and symbolically represent Tony's inner transformation. Turns out she was absolutely right. The glowing white suit became one of cinema's most iconic costumes, and it wasn't even part of the original plan. Number 2. Stephanie was cast because of a taxi ride. Casting Stephanie, Tony's complicated dance partner, wasn't easy. Hundreds of women auditioned, but none felt quite right. Then one day, fate did its thing. Karen Lynn Gorney, a relatively unknown actress at the time, found herself sharing a cab with a stranger. They struck up a conversation. He mentioned his uncle was working on a film. She jokingly responded, "Am I in it?" That uncle? Producer Robert Stigwood. Her name got passed along, she landed an audition, and the rest is history. Gorney became the perfect counterbalance to Travolta, grounded, smart, and just a little bit out of reach. Number 1. That famous strut? Almost not Travolta. And finally, we get to the most iconic shot of the entire film. Tony Manero's walk down 86th Street, paint can swinging to the beat of Stayin Alive. It's stylish, timeless, pure swagger. But guess what? It almost didn't feature Travolta at all. The original plan was to shoot the legs of a stand-in. They figured no one would care about the actor's lower half. But when Travolta saw the footage, he insisted on reshooting it himself. However, not every shot in the final cut is of him. When does Tony stop and lift his shoe to compare it to the pair in the store window? That's actually a foot double. Even disco kings have limits. Bonus fact, the film was almost rated X. One of the weirdest and most overlooked facts about Saturday Night Fever is that it was this close to being slapped with an X rating. That's right, before it became a pop culture icon and a PG-rated disco fantasy in people's minds, the original 1977 release was dark, gritty, and unapologetically raw. The language was intense, the sexual content was explicit, and the themes tackled everything from racial tension to assault. In fact, the theatrical release was rated R for good reason. It wasn't just a dance movie. It was a reflection of the rough Brooklyn streets and the harsh realities young people faced. Saturday Night Fever might look like a slick disco fantasy, but the real story is messier, stranger, and way more human. It was built on a fake article, powered by music written without a script, and starred a heartbroken actor who channeled real pain into a fictional role. It took improv, risk, and a little bit of chaos to become the masterpiece we know today. Which of these facts totally surprised you? Was it the fake origin story? The mooning at White Castle? The foot double? Drop a comment below and tell us your favorite. And while you're at it, hit that like, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started with these deep dive film facts. And remember, you don't have to dance like Travolta. You just have to stay curious. See you on the next groove.